Hey everyone, I hope all is well. Today we were hit with some really massive news regarding PlayStation and their big announcement about what's to come from their future business ventures and decisions that they decided to make. And this decision is really massive because it's going to cause a huge industry shift, and we've been dealing with a lot of industry shifts recently, especially with AI causing a bunch of the shifts, such as price increases for physical games, price increases for digital games, a memory chip shortage. It's a lot of stuff going on, and we've been hit with a lot of price increases, and not only just for gaming, but subscriptions also. We've been hit with various different increases, and it honestly shows just how bad things are getting, especially for us everyday consumers and how we purchase products, which leads into this blog post from PlayStation. It says physical disc production ending in January of 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. It continues, in response to shifting trends in consumer preferences, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. It continues, as consumer preferences in the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical disc to digital physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will discontinue starting January of 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. They continue. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how our community prefers to assets and play games today. Now, I don't really like that statement because, for one, a lot of people still prefer physical, like me. For example, I love getting my games physically. I don't get every game physically. Some games for convenience purposes, I'll just download it digitally because it's quicker and easier sometimes, and it's not really a game that I would want, to be necessarily saved throughout the course of time as we move on to other gaming machines and stuff. But there are like a few games physically that I do want to maintain and own for as long as possible, especially when it's to like commemorate something that is successful, such as like Breath of the Wild. That was a really huge moment, and I own the physical cartridge for that game. Being able to own that and have the faith instilled into me that, hey, I still own this and I can play this whenever I want to without having to go to the eShop to re-download the game or any digital storefront for any of the other consoles. It's like you're placing your faith into these companies to keep these marketplaces open, but one day they will indeed close those same marketplaces, and you won't be able to get your physical media, I mean your digital media again once they decide to do that. We've seen it happen with the Nintendo 3DS. They closed down the eShop. I believe you can still re-download some of the games that you purchased, but it's only a matter of time that you won't be able to do that, and Nintendo will one day discontinue the ability for you to re-download those digital games because as time goes on, we see these companies, they move on to what's next, and they unfortunately have to discontinue some of the services that they provide, especially when it's online. But when you have a physical game, you can play it whenever you want as long as you got your console, and You can resell it. You can do a lot of things with physical media. And just to see them say that they are, pretty much going align more closely with how most of their community prefers to access and play games today. That's not really 100% like a true thing. I believe a lot of people still prefer physical media. It's just the convenience of digital media that makes it a lot more appealing to the everyday person. But if I had a choice, I would probably get all my games physically just because I'd be able to, have a real collection that I physically own and that I can play for as long as my console upholds itself. But yeah, it's really interesting that they said that. And they continued with, will continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games. Whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store, we remain committed to delivering a world class gaming experience to our fans. We thank you for your continued support, blah, 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 blah. The typical PR ending. Um, it's really going to cause a huge industry shift, and for them to just come out and say it, I respect it because most companies operate in secrecy and they usher you without necessarily telling you, hey, we're not doing this anymore. They just do it for the most part. But for them to actually write a blog post and to tell us, I really respect that, but I don't respect the implications of where this is going and how it's going to affect everything else, because it will affect everything else. Just like AI has affected the pricing of everything, especially in gaming media. So it's only a matter of time before we see how Nintendo responds. I think I've seen speculation that the eShop, but not the eShop, but for what is it called, Nintendo Switch Online, they will be increasing the prices at some point in certain countries. It's only a matter of time before they do that globally. We see what's going on with Xbox. It's, oh my god, there's so much going on with Xbox. But it's very worrying to see just how bad things are getting. And one last thing they did announce, they said Sony is, they also will be, they announced a final closure of legacy PlayStation Store for the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita, scheduled for July of 2027 in most major regions, meaning that new content purchases on those platforms will end completely. So that just goes into what I was saying earlier about the Nintendo 3DS. You see how they ended that. You can still re-download the games, but you can't purchase anything extra. It's only a matter of time before they do the same thing with those two platforms. And that's why I don't like a digital only future, because you have no guarantee that you will be able to re-download your games or install them onto a newer system. Say you hold on, say like it's 10 years from now and we still have the Nintendo Switch 2, and you decide, hey, I want to, you know what, scratch that. Let's say it's 20 years from now, Nintendo's on to like another system, the Switch X. You still have your first Switch, the original Switch. You want to be able to move your games, but Nintendo announced, hey, we've closed down that shop and you will no longer be able to download your games. You officially just got a brick. You can't do anything. You got another system to put your games onto, but they won't allow it because it's a legacy console at that point, and you can't move it over because they don't want to support that that infrastructure no more, that cloud. And now you have to count your losses and move on. But yeah, that's essentially why I don't like digital only media and still prefer physical. I plan on purchasing the new Fire Emblem game physically because I want the collector's edition and all the little knickknacks that go with it. And Yeah, I believe it makes it special when you're able to do that. And it's only a matter of time before they stop putting the digital only games in at retailers like Walmart, Target, wherever, because why would you continue to just put a code in a case and waste plastic and paper for something that is essentially just directing users to your storefront to then download said game? They're not getting a disc, they're not getting a cartridge with anything on it. They're just getting like a link essentially to take them to download the game. Like you might as well just purchase uh a gift card for yourself and just download the game when you get home, or just put whatever money you were going to spend at the store onto that storefront and download the game yourself. Why even go to the store at that point? Are you just buying the bots, the case just for the bots art? Like what's the purpose? The implications behind this and where things are heading towards is honestly really concerning, and I'm honestly just scared for the everyday consumer who tries to purchase a PlayStation. And for one, they're going to have to deal with the inflation of the PlayStation because of AI destroying, everything with the memory chip shortage, and it affecting the prices of even being able to get a PlayStation. You're effectively like pretty much being priced out at this point, and gaming is slowly becoming a niche market that most everyday consumers won't be able to enter into. And I just I'm not sure of where it's going to go for in the future, honestly. Like the only thing I can think is maybe they're going to create like some big cloud store infrastructure for people to still be able to play these games, but you won't actually own them. You'll just be streaming them. And that honestly seemed like it's the only solution to get the everyday consumer into gaming again, because buying a system and dealing with all these other changes and not being able to actually own the games that you purchase because they're digital, it's honestly really insane. And that brings about another thing that I saw. Sony is apparently deleting 551 movies and TV shows that you purchased on the PlayStation because you don't really own your digital purchases. And that's how it works. You get a game and they have the authority to remove certain content, whether it be games or movies or TV shows that you purchase. They can remove it even if you purchased it. You don't own it forever. It's insane, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't pay much attention to. Like, just because you bought it and you got it on your system, that doesn't mean they can't remove it. You don't actually own a thing. And that's why this is a pretty scary time to live through, because when you own a game physically, you got it forever. They can't just break into your home and steal it from you and say, "How dare you hold this game? We taking this off our shelves, so we got to take it out of your house." Like they can't do that if you own the game physically. But yeah, to just to see where the market is heading is honestly really concerning. And I want your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about this? Like, what do you think the implications are, and where do you think this is going to head towards in the future? I'm honestly a bit afraid. I don't think I'm gonna be able to game when I'm an old man like I plan to. I plan to retire and be able to, gently sway in my rocking chair while holding my Switch 2 and remembering the good old days. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be possible going into the future. Anyways, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching.